What is up, guys? It is Tony here, and today we are bringing you some Battlefield 4 beta on the triple monitor Nvidia surround setup I have. My rig actually uses two 670 EVGA GPUs. It actually has 4 gigabytes of VRAM per card. So if you guys want to know the exact specs, there they are. I wanted to do this video basically to show off the performance of my older 670s on this newer game software, on this newer graphic platform. And so some of you guys who are trying to figure out whether you should buy 670s instead of 770s and save a bit money, to see if it's worth it for you, because a lot of people want to know if the 670s will still hold up on the newer games like Battlefield 4. So first off, I'd like to mention this is a beta, so the fact is that down the road things may change, but in this beta and in the tests I've done, this is the test I'm doing right here. The results I have are relatively scary in some ways, and in other ways they're actually pretty good and pretty promising for me not to have to upgrade anytime soon. So first off, right now you're watching it at about high settings. I switched to Ultra after my first death, and you can see it's extremely smooth. There's no massive frame drops, especially in this video. You really can't tell that much. And it looks really good. I know the colors are a little bit blown out. That's mainly because this map is extremely hazy and it's hard to get the right exposure. But basically, you know, overall, it looks beautiful. I think it looks great at high, and now we're switching to Ultra. And Ultra is really where you see an unplayable game. Now, on Battlefield 3, dual 670s, man, you can really play Ultra on Battlefield 3 on Nvidia Surround. It's incredible what you can do with that, with this setup on Battlefield 3. But BF4, man, it really kills. You can see it here. It kills your GPUs at Nvidia Surround. It's really difficult to run it. The anti-aliasing and all of the other reflective type of effects and you know, all that sheen that just makes it look beautiful. It's very difficult to run it in Surround. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and read off some numbers to you. You'll see me switch in this video from Ultra to high to medium to low. Those are the main 4 specs I played at. I think I'm switching back to high right now, but I switch over to medium in a moment. So first off, on Ultra, the actual benchmarks I came up with is a minimum frames per second of 11, which is pretty low. But you gotta realize that that's minimum. That's kind of the drops. That's when your frame just completely stutters to the point where it's like, what just happened? The max is 26, which is playable. Most people consider 24 playable. I could play at 24 to 30, but if I really want to be comfortable and I really want to try to get competitive in a game, I like to play around 45 or higher. So, and the average is 18. So I would say that, yeah, Ultra is a little bit impossible to run with dual 670s at 4 gigabytes. The 680s, you're really not going to see too much of a boost in terms of performance, but, you know, it might be slightly more playable. So I think that pretty much all the 600 series cards, you know, 2 600 series GPUs cannot run this game at Ultra. It's just not doable, which is a little bit unfortunate. Maybe if you overclock it and water cool a bit, maybe you'll be able to get better results. But if you want to run Surround Ultra, you're going to need to go to try SLI. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But when you go over to high, you get 22 min, 36 max, and 29 average, which is extremely playable. If you're really trying to be competitive, yeah, bump it down to medium, because you're going to want to get at least 40-something frames per second on average. And even at medium, it's difficult to get that. But, yeah, you might want to bump it down a bit, or maybe just play on one monitor, because, yeah, I mean, you really want to get higher than that. So 22 min, 36 max, and 29 average, that's pretty good for high. And I think it's playable. I've been playing on high quite a bit, and it's not that bad. Then you go into medium, which I may be playing on right now. I think I'm playing on medium. Yeah, must be. Oh, no. I'm playing on low right now. That's why it's so smooth and everything looks so smooth as well. The textures on low are really bad, but I'll get to that in a second. Medium, 24 min, 44 max, and 33 average. That's right where you want to be for general gameplay. If you're playing on Surround, you shouldn't be complaining getting those types of specs. Those are pretty good frames per second, frame rates. Overall, I would take that any day. And it's medium, so you're not going to get the best performance, but let me tell you, medium looks pretty good. Medium looks almost as good as Ultra on BF3, so I'm not complaining too much about medium. Now, low, which you're looking at right now, which is terrible, The textures are really boring. The colors are really bland. Everything's flat and like kind of weirdly rendered. You know, some people may consider low playable. I mean, it looks pretty good. Like the actual like the rocks on the floor look pretty detailed. But you know, in my opinion, low is pretty bad. Because I usually play on ultra. But low is 28 minimum, 59 maximum, and 38 average. So you're looking at getting up to 60 frames a second. You know, probably around 40 at low. So if you're playing surround, you probably want to play medium or high. You're going to get the best performance to graphical, you know, pleasure ratio, or whatever you want to call it. You're going to get good graphics, but you're also going to get really good performance in terms of surround on a next-gen game. Now, the reason why I think that there's such a big hit in terms of performance is not because the game has improved a lot, because I don't really think the improvements are that drastic to the point where they're going to kill your card. I think it's because this game, first off, is in beta. So here's some good news for you. It's in beta, so that means that down the road they may optimize it better for graphics cards like Nvidia. Also, there'll be newer drivers that'll come out from Nvidia and EVGA and any other make that you have that will allow you to better run newer games. So that's one thing to look at. And the second thing you have to realize is that I think that these games are going to be more optimized for AMD, and the reason why is obviously because the new consoles, which most game companies seem to cater to nowadays, which is kind of bad, cater to the AMD graphics in those consoles, because at the end of the day, they want it to run well on consoles so it sells better and so they don't get bad ratings. So my final verdict is that it runs pretty good at high or medium. In terms of the overall like Nvidia surround experience or any sort of, you know, Eyefinity experience, you'll notice a lot of the guns will clip off the screen and look really weird. It's not perfectly optimized for the surround experience, but I got to admit, overall, you don't need a widescreen fixer. Everything seems to work out well. All of the interfacing is very well made. You know, this selection screen you're looking at right now, yeah, it doesn't extend down to the other screens, but that doesn't bother me because usually it's about the gameplay itself. So really, overall, it's optimized extremely well. But as you can see with the RPG there on the right, it kind of looks weird. So that's kind of annoying. But, you know, you can ignore that. I've ignored it pretty well and not really had too many problems with that type of stuff. Other good news for you guys who have dual 670s or 680s, you also have to realize that most people don't have surround setups. This is a surround setup. So if you don't have a surround setup, if you're running at 1080p or even 1440p, one of those higher resolutions even, or 3D on one monitor, I got to admit, when I went to one screen, 1080p, and I maxed it out to ultra, I was getting 70 frames a second, no problem. It was running extremely smooth on maxed out settings. So if you're not using surround, which really surround isn't necessary, I mean, it's a fun thing to do, it's really exciting to play it, and it's actually worth playing at times because it does add a little bit to the experience, it kind of immerses you better. But, you know, it's not necessary. So if you go to one monitor and you run it up to ultra, it runs extremely well. You're talking about 60, 70 frames a second, which is extremely smooth, and it's good to record at those frame rates. So, once again, my final verdict is that the game does take a huge detriment compared to the, you know, Battlefield 3 experience with these cards, but it's still playable. I really don't think it's time for anyone to upgrade if you have a 670. I would really wait till the 800 series if that exists, or if you're on the AMD side, to wait for the next gen after this this new R9, R7 series, because at the end of the day, this game runs extremely well on the past gen graphics, the 600 series and the 7000 series from AMD. It runs really good, so I'm not complaining too much. I think it runs pretty nice, and I think that, you know, once they optimize the drivers even more, it may even run 10 times better. Who knows? But I'm pretty much enjoying Battlefield 4. How are you guys enjoying it? If you've played it yet, the beta, it's really fun. Download it if you haven't already. It's on Origin. I think you have to have Battlefield 3. It may just be completely open. I'm not sure. But I have Battlefield 3, and for some reason it just showed up as a download. So if you don't know about that, Google it. I'm not really exactly sure. But I really don't think you need to pay or anything like that to get into the beta. I didn't have to pre-order. But I'm really pumped for this game. I think it's going to be really fun to play in the future on my PC, and hopefully they optimize it a bit more, because I really like playing Ultra on Surround. I would kind of consider upgrading my graphics cards, but I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that I bought them, so it'd be kind of weird to make that investment, which is why I say, you know, at the end of the day, it may not be worth it to you guys to upgrade. But anyway, I'm going to end it off on capping this point. You know, once again, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys learned something from this and maybe are able to make a decision better, you know, better educated on the decision making. I would recommend that if you are building a PC, go for the 700 series, go for the 290X, go for those cards because they run extremely well and it'll be a wise investment for you to make. Don't jump down to the 600s unless you really are strapped for cash. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like and comment and check out my channel. I have a lot more videos related to PC gaming and other stuff like that. And also, you know, go ahead and check out my other videos talking about Nvidia Surround if you want some more information on how these cards, my setup runs.